to tutorial on how to create a digital mock-up. My name is Megan Boitano, and I'm going to walk you through a three-step process to create a digital mock-up. So the first thing, we're going to be doing a lot of the work in Canva. If you don't have a Canva account already, it's 100% free. You'll want to go to www.canva.com right here and go ahead and sign up. So you do have to provide all of your information in order to get an account. Actually, I already have an account, so I'm going to sign up under a different email address for these purposes. So I'm going to go ahead and hopefully select all the bicycles. All right. So once you are in Canva, it wants you to know a little bit about yourself. You can say, whatever, I'm a business owner. And say, no, I don't want to invite any team members right now. So go ahead and get to, this is kind of your main Canva dashboard. Those of you that are Canva users, this is what you're familiar with seeing when you log into Canva. So for your digital mockup, I'm assuming that you have already created, whether you have a specific download, like you have an ebook, you have a workbook, a worksheet, some resource that you want to create as a digital mockup. So I actually have here, for example, you want to set your ebook in a tablet to use to promote your digital product. This is an example of a few here that I've created. So I'm going to show you how to create a digital mockup using Canva. So the first thing to pay attention to that we're going to do first is we need to create a page image. And this is important because if you've created your ebook or other downloadable item in a program such as Microsoft Word or Publisher, it can be difficult to save that as an image. You may have it in a PDF file format, but in order to add it to this design program, you need it in an image format. For example, a PNG file. So I'm actually going to show you how to do that. So first and foremost, you want to make sure that you have your file saved as a PDF. So it's really simple to do. So for example, if you drafted it in any one of the Microsoft products, you'll go to File, Save As, and then change it from a Word document to a PDF. And then that's going to create that PDF file format that we're going to work with here. So once you have your PDF file, the first step is to create a page image. So smallpdf.com allows you to convert from PDF to JPEG. So you see here this yellow toned one. When I click convert a PDF to a JPEG, what I'm going to do, it says I'm in incognito mode, so pardon me. We're going to go to PDF to JPEG. It says drop your PDF file here. You can also use Google Drive or Dropbox for these purposes. I'm going to go ahead and grab my ebook file, and you can see here it's a PDF file format, and I'm going to drop it into smallpdf.com. And it's going to ask you, do you want to extract single images from each page, or do you want to convert the entire page? So we basically want to take the equivalent of a snapshot. So if you were to print that out and take a picture of it, similar, it's going to take the entire page, just like it looks like as a PDF, and make it into an image file. There are other ways. If you open Adobe Acrobat, you can do a little window capture, but I find this to be quicker and just a whole lot easier than trying to snap the exact right size picture. So super easy. Convert the entire page, and I have this has many pages in this file, so it takes a little bit of time for it to convert the entire PDF file to JPEG. Once it's completed, you have a couple of choices to make, which I'll talk about now. You can download it as a zip file, including all the files, or select only the pages that you need. So for example, I really only want to use the cover image in my digital mockup, so I only really need to download that first image before so I don't really need to download everything. So once it finishes, again, you can download as a zip, or you can download individual page images. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and just choose the page that I need, or you can download as many as you're going to want for your purposes. If you want to create multiple images stacked on top of one another, you can absolutely do that. So you can see it downloaded here into the tray. What I usually do is I will show that in the folder, and it's going to show me where that is, and then I will cut it, go back to my file, and I actually already have the pages saved here. I have pages 1 through 4, so you can put it in the file where you want it. Put it where you can find it. I'm a big try to keep things organized. So in this case, I already have pages 1 through 4 saved. So once you have your ebook image or any other page image from your download, you now have what you need. If you remember here, that's the image that I'm going to drop into this tablet. Or if I created this in Publisher, I now have a image file that I can add in Canva to create this look. Or this workbook that is an editable PDF file, I now have all 7 pages that I can stack up in this way as a digital mock-up to kind of show people what they're getting. So we're going to create a design. So that's the first thing. We're here on the home page. And for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to use custom dimensions, which is the size needed to create an RD to RD listing image, since it's very beneficial to have a digital mock-up for your product listings. So you can always do a Square social media graphic or Instagram or whatever you're creating. But in this case, I'm going to use the custom images. You notice here you can do pixels or inches. For RD to RD, it's 930 pixels wide by 700 pixels high. And what this does when you create custom is the canvas, and I'll actually show you what that is. This is called your canvas that you're working on, is sized for the right number of pixels. So when you upload, you want to upload the right size image, or it oftentimes will get cropped off. If you've ever tried to create a cover image for Facebook, it has to be the exact right size. It doesn't kind of scale that for you. You need to have the right size from the beginning. So you can see here 930 by 700 pixels. So the next step which we're working on now, is creating a background. So you want something pretty to lay your digital download page image on. There's a few options that you can use. One is you could do a solid background. So let's say you're going to do orange, or if you have specific brand colors, you can always type that in. 066B39 is the color that I use for RD to RD. So you can see here that would change the background image to match my brand colors. Or perhaps you can see there's some patterned backgrounds. Maybe I want to use this background, and I can always, change these colors here. So I can, I could use pink or something, something different. So it kind of, allows you to choose different backgrounds. Note there are, a few that you do have to pay for. There's a number of backgrounds that are free, but some require you to pay. So just pay attention whether or not it says free or has a little dollar sign. That way you'll know whether they're free or paid. You don't have to pay when you add them. You actually pay when you go to download the item. So I mentioned we can do a solid background, we can do a pattern, or we can also upload our own background image, which is actually what we're going to do next. So you click the uploads from the left-hand tab, and you click upload your images. And in this case, I'm going to grab the image that I showed you earlier, when I can find it, here. So you can see I want to use that desk scene. And a really good tip here is to make sure that when you're searching on some of the stock photography websites, there are Pexels, Pexels.com, Unsplash, which is another great place for free stock photography. If you use the search term background, you're going to get some better results. So for example, if I go to unsplash.com and I search office background, what you want to include background is it's going to give you kind of this large area where you could drop your image. And if you use, some of the images are great, they just don't give you a lot of space for your to drop your digital download in. Sometimes these blank computer screens, if you maybe have an online course or a webinar or something, you can create a frame and drop in your digital mock-up there as well. So again, this might be a spot, just going through, but using the search term background is a great way to pull up some good options. For paid stock photography, I use Deposit Photos. I feel like there's a lot more options, although you do have to pay for each item. And you can see here, this is the image that I'm using, but it will, you can kind of see as you scroll through. I think the search capability is pretty advanced. I always find an image that I want, and I find it quickly versus searching for a really long time on some of the free sites and maybe not finding exactly what I want. I buy a pack of, let's see, I think I buy them 100 images. I usually get them on AppSumo for like $49, so that actually works out to be about 50 cents per image, and it's a huge time saver, so it totally works for me. But you can use the free websites or take your own photos, which some people do, and I can actually show you some of those examples as well. So now that you've created your canvas, what you're going to do is you're actually going to take that image, you're going to click it, and it's going to place it over on your canvas. And you're going to need to resize it. Don't be worried if it kind of hangs over the edge. So in some cases you need it to fit like perfectly. So you could create a frame, which I'm not going to show in this tutorial, but in this case, when you download, anything that's outside of the canvas is just going to get removed. So just, you can move it around. Let's say, you want more of this showing. You can see, maybe I want to maximize I'm going to make it just this little dotted line to the top and bottom to get as much of this space as I can, or move it over. So this kind of shows you, now this is our background image. So the next step is to, if we wanted to just put, not show our book in a tablet, we just want to drop the actual page image right in there. What we would do is now we need to upload our image of our book. So remember I told you I already downloaded a number of pages. So when I upload my image, I now can click, and it's actually going to drag, it's going to drop that into the canvas. So I can resize it. I grabbed the corner and moved it, and I can also rotate it with this little circle here. So I now have what looks like, a page here on the background that I created. That looks fine, but maybe I want to put it in the tablet format, like I showed you before, like in a digital device, because it's an ebook. So I'm actually going to show you how to do that. So you can click this and then make sure you have this highlighted and click the little trash button, and that'll get rid of it. It doesn't delete it from your uploaded file, so if you want to add it back, no problem. I'm actually going to show you how to add a transparent overlay. So in the blog post, I gave a couple of examples where, so here, this is a good example of a couple of backgrounds. These pictures were actually Kristen Schaefer. She sells on RD2RD, Yellow Brick Nutrition. She actually took these images herself. These are some of her kids' office supplies. And then this is an extra piece of butcher block she had. And she took actually one with her iPhone, I believe, is what she had told me overhead. So you can create your own background images, or you can buy or use free ones. So scroll through here. I want to show you, how to add in here. So you can kind of see this transparent effect where the download itself pops out a little bit more because there's, it's kind of, the transparency is a little bit muted. So you're not seeing the background to the same degree. And I'm going to show you how to do that in Canva. It was something that kind of perplexed me for a while. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to make a copy so I can show you the original and the one I'm working on. So pressing this little button here copies it. So you get a second copy. If I'm working on something and I want to try out a little bit of a different design, I always make a copy, and then I can, that way if I don't like it, I always have the one that I was working on before. So here you click Elements and Shapes, and then this first one's a square. So don't be alarmed. You actually want to just drag that over. Again, don't worry if it's exactly the perfect size. It doesn't need to be, to completely cover your background image. Change the color. Once you have it highlighted, you have this option to change the color here. Change it to white. And now you have a white box over the top of your image. You can actually click this little, see how it pops up as transparency? And you can adjust the transparency. So as you adjust it, you can see more of the background. This is 0, this is 100. So depending on what you like, let's say maybe you'll like it like here. Whatever suits your fancy. You can see kind of the difference here. So if we were to go back to uploads, add that page image, you can kind of see that it's going to stand out more. You still have that office environment that you're trying to convey, but your digital product is standing out more. So the next step is we're actually going to add in the tablet frame. So Canva has a lot of images, just like I mentioned, other paid images. You can actually use some of the paid items in Canva as well, but there's plenty of free as well. So if I do a search term for tablet, you can actually see there's a couple of free. tablets that appear. I want to point out the difference between, this is a frame. You can tell that it's a frame, meaning it's meant to have a picture put in it, like a picture frame, because it shows you a little picture in the background, versus these are images. So I'm actually going to do, to compare for you, it doesn't really matter which tablet, let's just throw this one in there, versus this one, just so I can show you. You can kind of see this is more like intended to be an icon. It's just, to convey the image that it's a tablet. If I was trying to drop this in here, I'm going to try to like fit it in this size, and you're like, oh, it doesn't really work. So I'm actually going to show you, we're going to get rid of this one. If I take and I drag it in, you'll notice it kind of clicks into the frame. You see that? Like I drag it over here, and I click it, it drops right into the frame, and it kind of crops it, it cuts it off. So maybe I don't like how this is positioned. The tablet is actually dimensions-wise, a little bit not as tall as my page image. So some of it's going to get cut off a little bit. So I can actually adjust it. I could say, well, maybe I want it here. I clicked crop, and then I will click the check button. If I hit crop and I move it around and I don't want to keep the change, I just hit the X button. So let's say that I decide, well, I do like it like this. It's dropped in. Again, I can click, and same thing again, rotate it and move it around. Say, oh, maybe that's a little bit too big. And I can, stop. Maybe this is my my finished product that I'm going to use. I can also add text. So on this left-hand side here, you can move, when you click it, it adds it, and you can change it. Say, oops, free ebook. You could say, in some cases, if you looked before, we were looking at these doodle notes. I think there's a few good examples in here. Here, a couple of page images, a block, a square, and then the text over. Or here, you can see this is the cover of the grocery store tour toolkit, and then kind of a color block, creating a block and then adding text over the top. So there's a number of different ways you can go about this in Canva. But if you wanted to create that effect of text over a colored block, what you would do is, so I've added the text here. You go to Elements, and you're going to add a block, and then of course you can change the color of it. So let's go ahead and make our block, let's say we're going to make it green. Oops, don't want that. So let's say we want it here. I know this isn't exactly the design maybe I want, but I'm just to kind of show you. If you want to, you notice the text is behind. If you add the block first and then drag the text over, it would show up on top. It layers each and every element kind of on top of one another. If you need to fix that, if you click the item, hit the Arrange button and tell it to go back, you can see now that the text is now in the front. Let's say maybe, that green, it's just too, again, I can adjust the transparency of it so that I can see a little bit of the background image, but maybe the dark font shows up. You can change the font again here, to whatever, if you have a consistent brand font that you use, or one that you just, you like better. I don't like that one, but maybe just to show you how you can change it. So this is kind of a quick and easy 3-step process to creating your digital mock-up. That first step is kind of creating a page image. Then you need to upload that page image into Canva, create your background. So again, whether that's a solid background, and then you could, if we're gonna get rid of this, and maybe I'm gonna do, this is my background, and then I'm gonna put this on top, and then I'm gonna drag in some elements, and I'm gonna add this color block here. This isn't very pretty, but and then I'm going to add some text over the top. Maybe I'm going to make it a little bit transparent. So you can do all of these things, within Canva, and then I can add some text over here, and I can change the color of this to be black, because I think that'll show up better. You can do all of this in Canva, and like I mentioned, it's all free. You can change the size of it. If you want to create a digital mock-up. The last step, once you have actually created and you want to download, is you press the download button. And if you have created something with multiple pages, you either have to download it as a zip file or download, I download each one separately. So this one is page 1 and page 2. Let's say I want to download page 1, and make sure, how do you want to download it? I always download it as a PNG. When you press download, it's going to drop it right onto your computer, and you can use it with your product listings on RD to RD, or if you created one that's an Instagram size, or Facebook, Twitter, you can upload it and post it to one of those platforms. So I hope this tutorial was helpful for you, and the article kind of goes step by step as well. Thanks for listening in.